Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Mo Knows, featuring me, Monica Mo Justice. Okay, so I know the sound. You you never know how to call it on this stuff. Never know how to call it. All right, let me see if I could pop out the chat situation. Let's see if the chat situation is gonna work today. I got some indicators that it could work, but I'm not sure. Okay, so we're looking pretty good over in one part of this. So let me check out the other part of it. Um, Mo. Just sometimes, like, there's just sometimes when I just gotta be like, let me see. Okay, I think we are there. Are we there? Yes, we are. We're almost there. Are we there yet? Yes, we are almost there. One more little technical thingamajig, and then we might be completely there. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right, so I got some things working in my favor that weren't necessarily working in my favor before. All right. The next time I will move this thing so it doesn't like it's like not right in my face, not all in my face. Get out of my face. Anyway, it is what it is. It is what it do. But it's still there. Okay. All right. So that's this one. All right, I'm almost finished with my setup. That's a shame because I turned that off. Let me take this to another. Let me take this to another level. Let me see if now. Good afternoon. Okay, y'all know I don't have much patience for this stuff. Well, some of this stuff I have patience for, and some of this stuff I don't have patience for. So good afternoon, Miss Natural New Orleans. All right, I see you, but I'm not making it. So this is gonna annoy me today. Oh, maybe because. All right, let's see. Let's see how this goes. Hold on a second. Okay, so that's interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so you use some Listening and working. Okay, very well then. Okay, so here we are. I got a lot of things to talk about. I only have until 1:25. I have a 1:30 meeting that I must attend to. So we have about 1 hour to chop this up or chop that up. Okay, let's get started. Let's get started. You know, for those of you who don't know my history on this YouTube, there are some people who have made the habit of comparing me to the character that Whoopi Goldberg played in the movie The Color Purple, Celie. So, around here, hold on a second. Work is always work. Hold on a second. I gotta give myself a timeout moment. I gotta take care of this, so y'all just bear with me one moment. I can't. Yeah, I don't see you, and you are listening, but I can't. I can't work on that right now, lady. I gotta. I gotta deal with something else. I'll come back to that in a second. Hold on a minute. I have to deal with something that pays the bills around here. Cause this YouTube don't pay no bills as of yet. It don't pay no bills. But one day it will be a bill payer. All right. 2 p.m. Okay. All right. So good afternoon, Miss G. All right. Let me just go into one setting thing. I'm sorry I had to answer an email for work. So you know how some of y'all have fake jobs up here? Some of us have real jobs, and sometimes real jobs be a calling. A calling. And that was one of those calling messages. Now, normally I don't have issues going on between this 1 and 2 o'clock time frame. So this is really weird to me. All right, let me see what's the issue from the person. All right, I don't even have. All right, so let me just say something. This is weird as fuck to me. Okay, I did not turn on the subscribers only mode today. So if I didn't turn it on yet, so thanks to the person that sent me a text message, I'm gonna turn it on now. But at the end of the day, it wasn't already activated, so I don't know why you can't be seen in the chat or what have you. But now I turned it on. I'm not going through. I got another request from somebody else. Oh shucks. Let me do this now because I won't want to do it any other time. So I could chew up people and do my commentary at the same time. So let's move back into what I came here to talk about. So earlier this week, Whoopi Goldberg I was telling y'all why she's dear and near to me on here. It's because some people went on a hate campaign on here and said I look like Celie or compared me to Celie in the color purple. And I've just had ever since then an affection for Whoopi Goldberg and my channel as it relates. As we can relate, if we can relate to one another. Customization. No, that's not where I want to go. So, oh goodness, I hate going through this list. Hold on a second. So I have a love relationship with Whoopi. And this week she was suspended from The View. Oh. Girl, you can't write in my chat because you have been blocked. That is very interessant. Your channel was blocked. Anyway, so Whoopi Goldberg got herself suspended this week, and it was based on some comments she made that are considered to be anti group of people. So I wanted to speak on that. Today, but from a different perspective. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So, most people are talking about her situation from the aspects of what she said on the channel, what she said on The View. And that's what made me dub this. The View, on The View, you can't have a view. There's no views allowed on The View. And I started to really dig deeper and say, is that a faux pas? Or is that really what the circumstance is? That there's no views on The View? And I realized that that is not the actual situation. The situation as it stands is that, can you equate, are you sophisticated enough as a public speaker to speak on the Black experience as it relates to other current events? Not everybody has the auditory ability to make the connects. And I think in this case of Whoopi, she didn't have the knowledge to support her statements. And even if she did have the knowledge to support her statements, she didn't have the savvy, the word savvy, to play it up correctly. Even when she came in with the apology, she didn't have the word savvy to capture it. And that was unfortunate for her, because she missed an opportunity to really convey what the Black experience means, right? As we discuss things, we look at things, or society or mainstream media, look at the Black experience and look at Black on Black crime, and they make comments about it every single day about Black on Black crime. They say, why should the Black community be so upset when police officers execute them in pure daylight, when in fact they do the same to their own? She equated, her comments to me conveyed the same type of messaging, but she just wasn't the right messenger. Remember what I said. Sometimes they don't want to appreciate the message because they can spend time assassinating the messenger. So at this point in time, they have suspended her. Now you hear there's chatter going back and forth that she is considering not going back. Maybe those conversations of that suspension are a little bit more permanent or indefinite than what we were led to believe. And maybe, she's letting us in on, they're negotiating a non-return. But we'll see what more is there to come. But has anybody stopped to ask what started all of this? This began because of a book. And since I'm a book club right here, this is where it ties in. This would have been a great topic for Two Thoughts Tuesday, because this would have been where two things collide and meet together and really impact what we're talking about here. It started with a book, the book called Mouse, which depicts, which was removed from the Tennessee classrooms. So what happened was the Tennessee school board met, and the parents of 8th graders or the community school, whoever sits on their school board, came to a decision that this particular book, Mouse, which depicts the Holocaust, was too graphic in nature to be in their curriculum for an 8th grade student. And they removed the book from instruction. And of course, there was a bunch of hoopla behind it because educators felt like it was the ideal book. Parents and others felt that it wasn't. So the bottom line is it's not in the classroom. It got pulled. And that's that's just the baseline. Parents have a right, and when you exercise your right, even if the rest of us think that parents have a right to influence what is shared with their children. and what is not shared with their children. And oftentimes people want to not appreciate their right to do so. But they have a right to that. They have a right to do that. So in this particular case, that's what happened. Now, interesting enough, if you go to the PBS channel, and I will put a link inside the box, you will see an interview of the author of the book, and he expresses his thoughts on. I don't think he really goes into depth about, or actually touched the surface of Whoopi's statements, right? They do find them to be anti-Semitic statements, but I believe he goes, and his conversation is more focused on the book and removing the book off the shelf and what that book meant to him, and he outlines why he created that book and why he is actually elated that the book is getting more views again, and people, because of course controversy sells, so the book is sold out. You can't find it nowhere on bookshelves. You can't get it on the internet. I don't know why people are buying the book when they could just have downloaded the book. But in any event, the book is well, I don't know if you could have downloaded that book, so let me not say that because I didn't look to see if you could download it. But anyway, he goes through how he created the book, how he came to terms with making the book, that it was not a book that was created to be an educational tool, but it could be an understanding. He was just telling the story of his family, and basically the mice in the story, or mouse, however, but the mice, because it's going to be more than one in the story, depict Jews, and the cats in the story depict the Nazis. So he feels it's a missed opportunity to have the discussion. Now, looking back and seeing some of the photos that they showed out of the book, maybe they were too graphic in nature for those parents. Maybe it was maybe it's an underlying bias that those parents have, and they really don't want their children under the influence. But I would have to ask, what is your 8th grader watching or reading or reviewing that you don't know about, but they're watching it anyway? History has a funny way of repeating itself if you're not exposed to its bias in its initial phases. But nevertheless, this is that issue, and that's where it lies at with Whoopi. And I think this is a story that's there is more to come. So since she was suspended on Monday, let's go back and see where we are 2 weeks from Monday. Cause I'd like to know. Puppy power. So we'll revisit this and see if she returns to the View on the 14th. So I'll bookmark it and see where we are. We could probably Monday morning quarterback and see if she's going to return. It's probably going to have the highest views ever if she returns, or if between now and then we hear some other rumblings about her not returning and they give her an oust to say that she chose not to return because she was suspended, when in fact they suspended her with the option of not returning. But one never knows, because we haven't heard all of the information and we haven't seen the outcome of that decision. So let's wait and see. That's just my opinion, and my opinion is entitled to be wrong, but that's just the way things are. Moving on to one of the most infamous trials that ended last year. Well, it's a few, but the trial of the McMichaels. So the McMichaels are now it should be interesting. You know what? This thing, all right. You don't have to be in here under that account. You can go get the other account. You were blocked though. I'm gonna tell you something very interesting. All of you characters that come, let me just put it like this. I looked at my block list today, and there are more people on the block list that come from the community than what I would expect to have been on the block list. So, yeah, so your channel, Jinky Pie, was on the block list. You could go back in and I just removed it from the block list. I left the rest of the channels there because I'm gonna have to fix that. But it's really weird. It's really weird. So I gotta do a timeout. That's Nicola. That's Nicola. I'm gonna say this. I could see why. I could really see why some of the names ended up on that block list. I got a good understanding as to how that happened. I got a good understanding as to how that happened. The good thing about not having a lot of moderators in your room is that you don't have to worry about how the mods are rolling. All right? And I see how people try to protect me around here from nonsense. But if Mo steps in something, she is a big enough person that can step right out of it. If I put myself in something, I can get myself right out of it. I stand on what I say, and I say what I stand on all the time. If I feel a certain kind of way about the way people move as a collective, I'm going to speak on it. And at every curve, if I see you moving poorly, I'm going to say something about it. There's no reason for anybody to feel like they need to protect me from the people out here. All the damage that really could be done has been done. I don't think these people can out-top themselves on their hate campaigns any more so than what they have already done. So we don't have to add to it around here. We really don't have to add to it. But I see how people roll, and especially if you put me in something that you didn't have to put me in. I could see how this all plays itself out. Anyway, moving on to my favorite court case on talking about hate on the internet and transferring it into hate crimes in real life. We're now looking at the McMichaels. So that's Travis McMichaels, whatever the father's name is. He a Michael McMichael? I don't know. Whatever. Gregory. So there's Travis McMichaels, who's the son. Gregory McMichaels, who's the father. And this Bodie, whatever dude, who's the neighbor, who all got inside their car and got inside their pickup trucks and ran a guy down in the street. Actually did a modern day lynching, is how they characterized it, of Ahmaud Arbery, 20-something year old black male jogging through their neighborhood. Those are the narratives. They were found. They were convicted of his murder and were sentenced in. They were sentenced in state court. Generally, you do not go, and I've had this whole conversation before. Generally, your cases, they would let one of the cases go and not go forward with the case in federal court. The parents of Ahmaud really need to consider where they stand now with the case being in federal court. In federal court, it means that they're going to be moved from state jail into a federal jail situation. And if they are found guilty, federal courts have a good history of getting convictions. If they are found guilty of their hate crime, serving those 30 years out in federal jail, and there'll be nothing that you could do about that, because that's just the condition. If you get charged with a federal crime, you're going to do your time in a federal cell. So, of course, these men have nothing to lose by going to trial. The only thing Ahmaud Arbery's parents could do at this point in time is to say, because there is, and this is their strong opinion, they don't want them doing time in a federal jail, to remove the hate crime as a prosecution, and probably go back to the feds and say, listen, we don't want you to prosecute them because the outcome means this. So then the prosecutors would have to pull the plug on it, or they would have to tell the Arbery's and the rest of the world, as it should, that no one citizen, this is including Donald Trump or whatever, controls the prosecutor's office. They represent not one person, but the body that they are governing. So, for instance, if you are a prosecutor on a state level, you represent the state of wherever you are at. You don't represent that individual victim. You represent the violation that was to government, that state. In the federal side, if these men that they're bringing forward, they violated something on a federal level. So you violated a U.S. statute, and that's what we're going after. It's not a personal preference. These agencies are not supposed to be at the beck and call of one individual citizen. It's supposed to be for the totality of us. This is supposed to be a deterrent for this type of behavior moving forward, and finding them finding them guilty or prosecuting them for these egregious violations of people's civil rights. This is not funny. A person's civil right is one of the highest privileges you can have on the land. That's not extended to just a white man. It's supposed to be to all men. So to believe that you can manipulate these agencies to do your bidding is not fair to the rest of us. There has been some misrepresentation since 45 got in office about how government works. Many people have always seen the government as being biased and unfair, prejudiced, or overreaching. They have found the justice system to be unjust. And these are the reasons why. Because it could be manipulated. And that's unfortunate. And we're sitting here again on an opportunity where people are showing that they are manipulating the system. We are sad for what we saw happen to Ahmaud Arbery. We are definitely sad about that. But the question now becomes, where do we go from here? And how do we deal with this appropriately? That absolutely has to do with me speaking on manipulating the system for one's own purposes. That's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that at the end of the day, you do not have people representing the law, right, with the passion, because they've been so gilded by it. You know, when I see Lee Merritt, and I see and I appreciate Lee Merritt more than I do Ben Crump. When I see them involved in these cases, I see shimmers of hope, because I know that I know that their heart is in the right place, and that they're fighting back the messages of our losses, or they're fighting back the losses, that they'll take any win, and the win is for the collective loss. No, it's not. It's a case by case basis. And I've been saying all along, I feel like they are losing their purpose because they are playing the same game that the other side has played for so long and won. They're not doing the Michelle Obama. They're not taking when they go low, we go high premise. They're going just as low. And at the same time, you've got these cases that really represent landmark decisions under their belt, that they're sending the image attached to it is that we're playing dirty to get fair treatment. It's a shame that we gotta play dirty to get fair, because they don't work out, but you can't just do this so blatantly in the public's eye like this. It's an unfortunate thing. They are no Johnny Cochrans to me, but I can put up with Lee Merritt more, because I've seen him in defense of his client. I seen something there about him that I don't see the same in Ben Crump, and I think Ben took a hit with the situation with down there in Florida with Trayvon Martin's case that he's never recovered from. And this is not a good look. I looked on my YouTube and he was on some kind of call today, something that happened in Chicago. I don't even know what happened in Chicago. I can't even keep up. I can't even imagine how they keep up with all this stuff. So it is what it is. So the three gentlemen have decided, the McMichaels, Travis, well first the Bryant dude that made the video, he was already gonna go to trial on Monday in the federal court. Gregory McMichaels entered into a plea deal and with the feds, and withdrew his plea deal yesterday and made notification that he would resume going to trial on the hate crime. And last but not least, this morning Travis went and did the same. And the reason why is because they have everything to gain. If they lose in court, they go to federal jail. And that's a better option for them. If they win in court, then they just stay in county jail. It's less likely they will find a jury pool on the federal level that will probably find these men guilty of a hate crime based on the evidence presented, or the evidence we believe they will present. The reason why I say that is because there would have been no plea deal discussions on the table if the prosecutors on the federal side believed they had a strong enough case to win. They would have went all in and not even offered a plea deal. So that shows or leads me to believe that their evidence is not as strong, or their case is not as strong to hold up on their hate crime charges. So the judge rejecting the plea deal, the problem that Travis McMichael faced this morning is that if he accepted the plea deal and then the judge would have gave him a sentence, they all would now know what's expected. But he's the sacrificial lamb. If it was me and my family, I'd have put my father out there, because he ain't got that much time. His heart was already ticking or whatever. He was the biggest racist out there out of the whole group. I'd have let him go in and do his bias stuff and make a deal that would have sacrificed his son. Dude, you're dying. You're done. Whatever. Cause you got your son in that problem where he was out there shooting folks with the gun. If it had not been for you, not for your actions of calling this into play, boom, 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 there probably wouldn't have been a play. You ruined your son's life with your racist behind self. So he should have been willing and able enough to accept that plea deal and see what would come out of it with the judge, so that his son maybe then could have went to trial. And if his son didn't lose, he would probably end up with whatever sentence his father ended up getting. It would have took his father out of state jail and put him in federal jail. These are the things that you have to think about when you're weighing your odds against you, when you're evaluating your risk. But these people didn't make those kind of evaluations, because I guess they don't think about your life is overdue. When you decided to chase this man down and shoot him in the street and call up your friends and tell them, because people are forgetting the other conspiracy that was out there. And maybe that's the bulk of their next, of their hate crime, is going to be the cover up that was not revealed in the court case because it would have mixed issues. But maybe in the hate level of it, you can bring in those issues. We won't know until we see what their case in chief is about. And unfortunately, we won't really see it. We'll get accounts of it from people that we can't even trust to give us information. Will come out every day and tell us where the case is at and what they heard in court today. And you'll have to determine who you want to listen to. Who's the arbiter of the facts there? You'll have to see. You'll have to decide. I know for me, it's not that many people that is going to be able to tell me this. Let me just check off my talking points and make sure that I keep ticking them off. The judge made a statement when she accepted the plea deal, but denied, when she accepted the plea of guilty, but denied the plea deal agreement, whatever the agreement was. And she said, and having considered all that was said today, and looking back at the law that governs these agreements, it is my decision to reject the plea agreement. So something wasn't quite right there. I've spoken litany. I've spoke in depth about victims' participation in these processes. I think that the Ahmaud Arbery's family has a false sense of what the judicial system is. And honestly, they've gotten more justice without bringing their son back than most people have gotten. Look at Emmett Till. That was the 1950s lynching. They can't get justice today, even though they've got people recanting their experiences. You got a lot of dead people running around here. You can't get that kind of justice for them. His family wanted justice just as much as any other family wanted. Okay, you have to be careful what you lobby for. Many people lobbied for this federal case. Now that you've got the case, you have to know the consequences. And they should have been able to tell the family that if you, and this is what I heard Ahmaud Arbery's mother saying. She says, yes, we need to go forward with the federal case because these men allege that they killed my son in self-defense. And this will put that to bed because this will prove that they killed my son as a hate crime. And there was no self-defense in that. But people need to explain to her what she's not going to get. And if that's important to her, if that's what's important to her, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, because I've said to y'all numerous of times, justice is not what I say is just. It's what the victim feels brought closure to that matter. So if right now her goal is to convict these men, to show that their lie of self-defense, which was already rejected on the state level, is not factual. It was actually a hate crime. If she can show that, then it won't matter where they where they lay their heads at eventually, because she would have met what it was that she was seeking. She's expressed that that's what it was. She says she wants to eliminate the argument established by this men that this was self-defense when they were motivated by racism. There are other charges in addition to the hate crime charge. There's kidnapping. There's a couple of other things that are engrossed in there. And I'm sure that one of the things is probably related to the murder. I lost my train of thought. Sorry, because of the call. Okay, so that wraps up my Ahmaud Arbery. So we'll be on the lookout. Next week I'll probably have more uploaded updates on the McMichael's case. New case that I was watching that actually is today in the phase of closing arguments. Here we are. I started looking at this case a couple of nights ago because it was brought to me by a racist. No, I was watching some YouTube channel that I despise his take on situations. And he was doing this review or doing this sit-in of Tennessee versus Reinking. So let me define this case for you guys. This is a story. I don't know how old he is. And I meant to look that up because somebody asked me that this morning when I was telling them about the this dude. We're calling this the Tennessee. So it's actually the Nashville Waffle House shooting. So this dude alleges. Let me see. Hold on. Let me find the Wikipedia on this. This shooting took place April 22nd, 2018. It was a mass shooting at a Waffle House. The guy walks into the Waffle House, white guy. No one says his age. Maybe that's why. I'm going to Wikipedia because normally Wikipedia gives you somebody's age. Well, anyway, I don't know how old he is. If I find out later on, we'll just throw it in the description box. But anyway, this guy walks into a I have no idea. Okay, so this guy walks into this Waffle House armed with a semi-automatic. I listening to the trial, I now know the difference between these AR-15 guns or whatever and a semi-automatic. I'm feeling so educated right now. Anyway, he walks into a Waffle House. He shoots two people on the outside of the Waffle House, busts through the Waffle House, shooting up the Waffle House, killing in total 4 people, injuring 2 women, severely basically blasting their legs off. Their legs had to be reattached to their bodies, and causing damage to some other people. I think 2 additional people were injured by glass or what have you. But end of the day, the guy is pleading not guilty on grounds that he's mentally insane. At the time, he was wearing only a green jacket, no bottoms. He had no pants on, no underwears. He was just naked. He was in his birthday suit when he walked in there. So he's saying that he was delivering a message from God or what have you. He went into hiding, but there's something interesting, which is I forgot about this, but this is very interesting also in the case, right? He's saying that he had this religious epiphany to go in and kill the people at the Waffle House. I don't remember why he was killing people at the Waffle House, but they were supposed to be doing messaging or whatever. You know what? Just to give y'all, welcome to Mo. Because sometimes when you talk about some of this stuff, you got to be prepared. you got to be prepared. So he was at the Waffle House. So he was sent to the Waffle House to deal with the employees at the Waffle House. But unfortunately, he did not. Well, fortunately or fortunately, his job, he didn't do his task, right? He ended up killing the people that were there eating at the Waffle House at that given moment. So anywho, so he was getting all these messages and all this other stuff, and basically, he was just out of control. But in rebuttal, they put on this other witnesses, and I forgot about this last night. They put on these other witnesses that said he stole a BMW. So they were trying to say, but this might be considered after the fact. He stole a BMW to avoid or to avoid being found or whatever. He stole the BMW. I gotta go back to why he stole the BMW, but he stole the BMW, which they put on to like counter that it wasn't. It's to like rebut that he was acting on, you know what, this God, the God he follows, sent him to do, right? In fact, when everything was just premeditated, or, you know, he just thought this out and went and attacked folks like this, went on this mission. The reason why I became interested in it, because normally mental health issues really strike me hard, and I would probably have erred on the side of this man, because he was naked, shot up a Waffle House. He's probably insane, and he should get away with this. Until I saw the victims, and the victims were black people. See, y'all could do that crazy stuff over there in your town, but don't, you understand, go in, shoot up your communities, do that mass shooting stuff over there. But when you come over here and you shoot us up in our town, that is a bias. That's a prejudice. That's a hate crime. I don't care how you slice it. Once your victims all look opposite you, it says more about your intent than what you want me to believe. So if you want me to believe that you came over here and you just decided to shoot up the people at this Waffle House because the Lord sent you to get the employees that were inside there. Now, I must admit, like, they were looking a little bit, I saw it's a new Waffle House he went to, whatever. I just think it was really more constructed than what he's saying, because the victims was black. Now, if you watch the trial, I was very proud of folks that got up there and testified. When this guy did this shooting, black folks clapped back. Somebody, one of the guys, his last name is Shaw, Mr. Shaw attacked him. Of course, this would be considered self-defense. Mr. Shaw, because the shooter came in and went to shoot them, he actually jumped the dude, fought with him, tuffled on the floor, this naked ass dude. He's tuffling on his floor. He should have bit him. But anyway, he's tuffling on his floor. He gets the I always think about biting. Because it's just like, how you gonna be walking around? You wasn't even in your tighty whities. You was on your loosey goosey with your stuff just popping all off around the place, right? Well, like the girl said, she said your puny scrotum. That's how she described it. But in any event, this dude, there's more to come. There's more to come with this. So of course he has a case out now. His defense is insane. I was insane when I went into the Waffle House and shot and killed 4 people and injured 4 more. And that was, that was just unfortunate. And with such force. And his silly gun, the semi-automatic, I learned from this trial, means that you load and shoot, but it doesn't go automatically. So it's not like these other crimes when you these other mass shootings when you just hear like 55 gunshots in 2 seconds or whatever, because you just going no, he has to reload or whatever each time. So between each one, he is making a calculated decision. Even if the spirit told you to do this at first, he had a choice between it. And some of the victims said he looked at them, shot and aimed. He looked at them, aimed and fired. That's about it. I listened to one of the sorority sisters explain what her role is to bring her soror home. make sure that she's safe. She explained, like, going to the bathroom, the shit, in whatever community brought us together around here, when you don't leave your friend behind. She spoke about that, and stuff of that nature. So it was kind of, it's an interesting case. The jury is sequestered. Today they were doing closing arguments. Closing arguments gave me a headache. I think the prosecution did no, it wasn't a revolver. It was a semi-automatic rifle. It's something with a B. The name is with a B. I don't know. Buckham. I don't know. There's somebody's name with a B. It's the gun. It's equivalent to being an AR-15, but it's the gun with the B name. It's the gun that they're actually recommending over the AR-15 when they're making all their complaints about guns. And, if you must have one, the semi-automatic one would be a better rifle to have than have the one with the power cartridges and all this other stuff. But don't quote me on that, because I'm not a gun person. I don't know about guns. If you give me one day, I might shoot it and really wreak some havoc. You know what? That's the kind of guy I need. I need that guy that's going to stand there and help me get it all together and do whatever it is I need to do. I need one of those guys, like, learn how to shoot with him. Noah Beretta, ladies. No, it's not that. Something else would it be? Let me go find the B word, because y'all done went up here. Bushmaster XM15. That's what he had. He had a Bushmaster MX-15. MS whatever. XM. I don't know. Whatever it is, that's what it is. I'm not an expert on guns, and I'm not going to pretend to be one here. But this is what he had. He had a Bushmaster. Not a Beretta, not a revolver. But he was, when they did arrest him, he did have another gun. He had a smaller gun that was a malfunctioning gun on him. Anyway, subsequent to him being arrested, I think his parents were arrested for supplying this this type of artillery, or giving him access to the artillery. I don't know. I have to look that up further, but I did see something in my brief moments of thing. But I was very disappointed in the closing arguments, because I felt like in the closing argument there was something that the prosecutor said that pissed me off. Hold on a minute, because a part of me is looking. Oh, I guess I can't take that call. Anyway, a part of me is looking for a call from somebody, and I don't know what their number is going to be. All right. Anyway, can't win it all. I wonder he held it. He was walking around naked. But see, the prosecutor's argument is that he was walking around naked as a it's like it was a ploy, him walking around. So she wasn't convinced about him being naked. She felt like him being naked was part of his plan to not be discovered. Because if you walk around and you're wearing like a black, like normally when they ask you who shot you, what did the person look like, you would say, oh, this person was wearing a black t-shirt that said Mo Justice, or what are you going to describe? And she's wearing this she was wearing some aluminum hat on her head, right? But if you got to describe somebody that's naked, all you're going to say is I saw a black girl in her birthday suit. That could be almost about anybody. Why they were able to zero in on him is that when the black dude fought him, right, when Mr. Shore fought with him, guess what Mr. Shore did? He was found and arrested with another gun. I don't know what the other gun was, but it was a handgun. I don't know what that was. It was inside of his backpack. But at the scene, his gun was left behind because when he fought with the guy was able to disarm him, and the machine gun was left at the scene of the crime. So again, when you're on the YouTube and you're looking for content and you stay within your talking points or your genre, you should be able to find material that meets your needs. And that is some material that meets my needs. So that's where I will be watching Tennessee. I put it in the top of it. If you guys want to catch it, go into Law and Crime Network. I think it was a 4-day trial, so there's 4 days worth of material that you can listen to, and catch up on the trial. I'm very interested in seeing this. I wish I had covered it day by day to talk about self-defense. Talk about the defense of being insane. The insanity. Let's say you're guilty on the grounds of insanity. That's about it. I did watch one more trial this week, and it was of a military woman in Ohio who killed her military husband. They had a long history of domestic violence. She definitely shot and killed him. But the verdict came back, and it's Ohio versus Audrey Cole, Cole, Audrey, Audrey. She came back not guilty. And what's interesting about the case was she did not go on the stand and testify. The prosecutor kind of used her arresting statements against her, but I guess that it spoke for reciprocity. It spoke for itself. The thing spoke for There's some saying that's in Latin. The thing speaks for itself. I think that whatever her statements were when she got arrested, that they tried to use against her, so she would be a prime person or an exception to what you say. You have a right to remain silent. What you say can be used against you. Well, they tried to use her statements against her in the court of law. It may have worked in her favor. The defense rests without calling one witness. They didn't even call her. So that goes to, and she was a black woman. That goes to showing you that the power of the system and how the system is supposed to work, if it's supposed to work at all. That those tenets that are there, not self-incriminating yourself, having the right to not speak at the trial, having the right to make the prosecutor prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, sometimes means that the prosecution, that the defense must remain silent, because the burden and the onus, the burden is on the prosecutors, and in that case, the prosecutors lost. And Miss Aubrey won. What I found interesting was watching her demeanor when they announced her win. She was she remained the same, which to me may really mean that she probably was a victim of domestic violence, and her nightmare came to an end on that night. Now remember, this is not a happy story for her and her family, because this was the man she was married to and had children with. So she is responsible for the loss of their father. All right. In any event, I have a 1:30 meeting. It was a pleasure. I appreciate the privilege of your time And these are the type of conversations I would love to open up to the general audience and really hear your feedback. And I hope that you watch these stories and could really join in comments. So go crazy in the comments below, watching this for yourself, seeing these cases, opining on the situation with any of these situations, because it's important to build our conversations and our it just means a lot to me to be able to discuss these type of things more so than the other stuff, because I just remain happier this way, not so much on the chest and stuff. So this broadcast has been brought to you by the M and the O, and I have to go.